Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 1236. Guys, if you're following along on YouTube, please jump on over to thewoddoc.com. Check out all our full-length episodes. That's where we house them. Today what we're doing is giving you a little anatomy lecture on the meniscus. I got a bunch of questions about this. It's been on my list of things to do. Finally have a model to be able to show you. This is the knee. And in this case, this is your right knee. If you're looking at this, all right, obviously this right here is your kneecap, right, where your patella. On top here is your femur. On the bottom is your tibia, the big one, and your fibula, the smaller one, right? So if I'm looking at this and I'm able to strip away the patella, it gives us a nice look at the interior surfaces, articulating surfaces, so where they touch and rub together of the base, or I should say the top. We'll keep it in simple terms. The top of the tibia and the bottom of the femur. Now, what exactly does the meniscus do? What's the purpose of it? Well, let's take a closer look. If I bend this over and I look at these two knobs, so to speak, of the femur, you'll notice that they're rounded, right? You can see how they're rounded. And if I flip this meniscus up and I look at the top surface, articulating surface area of the tibia, you're going to notice that they're flat, okay? This is essentially like taking two marbles and placing them on top of a hardwood floor. When they sit there, they're very easily move around. You can move them around very easily, and they're not very stable. Now, what the body has devised is this nice cartilaginous piece of tissue here, right? They call this the meniscus. So if you guys are wondering what the meniscus is, this is what it is, right? And it looks like a little figure 8. And basically what it does is it creates two cups. Now those cups would be essentially like taking those marbles that I just said that were on the hardwood floor and putting them on a nice thick carpet. It's still not perfect as far as super stable, but it sinks down in, the marbles are able to sink down in, and they become relatively more stable. At the same time, they increase the articulating surface, right? Because since the marbles are pressed down, there's more surface area touching them. So it disperses that force and gives yourself a little bit of cushion. Now, let's talk about how we tear and rip this, okay? So ideally, if we went back and forth, normal knee function, straight flexion, straight extension, we have very little torsion that is placed on this meniscal surface, right? Because remember, it's just a piece of cartilage. It's tissue. It'll flex and it'll go into a little bit of distortion. But if you push it too far, it'll rip, right? So now imagine, rather than the knee going straight flexion and extension, imagine that there's some twisting. You see how the meniscus gets pushed and pried, right? Well, this is a piece of rubber. In real life, this is attached to the knee. So if I continue doing this under enough load repetitively, or if I do it in an invasive way where there's too much load and too much twisting, I can actually rip and tear a portion of this meniscus, right? And there's two ways that it can tear. It can either tear along one line, or it can rip off a little chunk. And if that little chunk gets flipped under, that's the locking mechanism that some of you guys might feel when you guys hurt your meniscus, right? So, just to recap a little bit, this meniscus increases the articulating surface and gives us a little bit of cushion. It disperses the amount of weight transfer that happens. So rather than it just being on the tips of the balls of these articulating surfaces, of the round ones, it spreads it out and gives it more surface contact area, right? And it's a piece of tissue. So when we flex and extend, there's a very little amount of torsion that's put on it. If we start to twist the knee, right, if, like for instance, we always talk that our knee wants to be in line with our toe, right, that eliminates the amount of torsion. But if we twist and torque the knee, we have the ability to possibly tear part of this cartilaginous surface. Now, if that happens, that gives us lots of pain in the knee, and you end up coming in and seeing somebody like myself or another practitioner. So, hope this helps you guys out. Hope that at least gives you a little bit of anatomy lesson on the knee. We could talk more about this with the ACL if you guys want to see it. All right? Questions, comments, please post them below. And until tomorrow, We are optimizing function to optimize performance.